Part 2. You will hear a business consultant giving a presentation to a group of office managers about implementing hybrid working models. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. As we all know, the way we work has changed dramatically over the last few years. Today, I want to share some insights on how to successfully manage a hybrid workforce, where staff split their time between the corporate office and their own homes. First, let's look at the motivation behind this shift. A few years ago, you might assume the primary argument for remote working was financial, saving money on daily transport costs or allowing businesses to rent smaller office spaces. While those are benefits, recent surveys show that for employees, the driving force is actually about gaining a better equilibrium between their professional duties and personal time. If companies ignore this desire for flexibility, they risk losing their best talent to competitors. However, moving to a hybrid model isn't without its challenges. You might think the biggest hurdle is technology, getting the internet speeds and software right. But actually, IT departments usually resolve software glitches quite quickly. The genuine struggle reported by managers is how out-of-the-box thinking takes a hit. When people aren't in the same room, you lose those spontaneous, informal chats where the best concepts often spring from. It's simply much harder to brainstorm effectively over a video call. So, how should managers adapt? The old style of management was often about checking that people were glued to their desks from 9 to 5. In a hybrid world, this doesn't work. Monitoring every minute your staff are online will destroy morale, and nobody wants to be forced to fill out endless, detailed time logs. Instead, successful managers are shifting their focus entirely to the final output. It doesn't really matter if an employee walks their dog at 11 a.m., as long as the project is delivered on time and to an exceptionally high standard. I want to highlight a case study from a logistics company called Swift Move. They transitioned to a hybrid model last year. They expected overall productivity to dip slightly, but were prepared to accept that. In fact, productivity stayed exactly the same. The surprise finding, however, was that because staff could rest more easily if they felt a bit under the weather, without having to face a stressful commute, their sick days absolutely plummeted. This unexpected health benefit saved the company a significant amount of money.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20.
This audio is produced exclusively by Auvoxi.com.
Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now, let's look at how some specific companies have tackled the common problems associated with hybrid working. I've worked with several organizations recently to help them iron out the creases in their new systems. Let's start with a software firm called Nebula Systems. They found that while their existing teams worked well remotely, brand new hires were struggling with isolation. To fix this, rather than offering financial bonuses to keep them, Nebula introduced a scheme where every new employee is assigned a seasoned colleague, not their boss, who checks in daily for a quick chat. This peer mentoring approach has completely turned around their retention rates. Next, there is Orbit Marketing. They had a different issue. Their staff were working from home on kitchen tables or sofas, and complaints about back pain were skyrocketing. The company realized they had a duty of care, so they decided to allocate a specific budget for every employee to purchase supportive chairs and proper desks for their living rooms. Then we have Apex Law. Being a law firm, they deal with high-pressure deadlines. They found that because their staff had their laptops at home, people were answering emails at 10 p.m. and burning out. To combat this, the directors implemented a strict digital policy. Their server actually actively holds back any internal messages sent after 6 p.m. and only delivers them the following morning. This forces staff to switch off. A design agency called Spark Creative faced the problem I mentioned earlier, a severe lack of collaboration. So they changed their policy. They don't force people to commute every day, but they have designated anchor days. Essentially, everyone must physically commute in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This ensures that face-to-face collaboration happens dependably. Global Finance, a banking consultancy, noticed that their team culture was disappearing. People only spoke to discuss work tasks. To bring back the social aspect, instead of organizing expensive weekend retreats, they started hosting virtual coffee roulettes. Once a week, the computer randomly pairs two employees for a 10-minute video call where they are strictly forbidden from discussing client tasks. It's purely for socializing. Finally, a company called Eco Energy. They took a radical step. They found that 5 days of work, whether at home or in the office, was leaving staff exhausted. They are currently trialing a new system where they have compressed their operations into 4 days. Staff work slightly longer hours Monday to Thursday and take Fridays off entirely. So far, they report that staff are far more energized and focused.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 2.